to democratize blockchain for everyone. So as an example, some of the recent releases and achievements we've had, when we started in January of this year, so just about 9 months ago, as of October 16th. And since then, we have released a staking platform for our community, and that really did like surpass all of our devs' expectations, and it really has been a real rewarding, no pun intended, platform for our community as well, because we do provide real time rewards with various APRs, based on staking options that we have from locked and not locked, flexible, LP, etc. We've also launched an aggregator this year, a custom code written aggregator. Our V2 of that aggregator is going to be released here in the next like week or so. And in that, it actually does an aggregation of aggregation, multiple hops. It supports 78 different chains and liquidity providers, and is really going to enable people to be able to save gas and or maximize their return. It's going to be super sweet. We've been doing a lot of functional testing, and also another big achievement we had this month was we got our CERTIC audit completed. That CERTIC audit consisted of 5 contracts so far. In that, we gained a really amazing score. The score on CERTIC fluctuates for all projects on a regular basis based on 6 core criteria areas that CERTIC continuously monitors. And in that, we also were able to receive a KYC silver badge. We're going for gold here in about 35-ish days when the review is done. It's done every 60 days, if I recall correctly. And we've also been able to launch our alpha version of our L2 blockchain, our Block Scout scanner. So we have some upcoming utilities and announcements and launches, which we can talk about in a minute. But I'll pause there to see if you want to, throw any other questions, or if you want me to continue on into what we got coming this calendar year.
Okay, Fafo. Yeah, you mentioned the staking there. How does that work for investors as locked unlocked staking? And does that tie in with the DAO for voting rights for the community as well?
Yeah, great question. So the staking platform offers, as I noted, 6 different 6 different options. So one that's a flexible stake, one that is a locked stake for 13 weeks, and then 3 different LP liquidity pool staking options, and also an ability to restake your rewards. So to answer your question though, as it ties to the DAO, we did launch a DAO. I'm actually glad you mentioned that. I apologize for not noting that, but it does. In our DAO structure, what we did was we wanted to enable an ability for people who really believe in the ecosystem and people that locked their tokens to have a boost based on their amount locked in the 13-week stake. So we have a whole medium about it. It gives all the rundown of like how the boosting works, but in our DAO, if you are a regular holder, and there's nothing wrong with that by any means at all, your vote is a 1v1 for the number of tokens you have. If you're staked in the lock stake, then you get a boost that ties to that lock stake that allows you a little bit more of a voting power because of your belief in the ecosystem.
Got you, Fafo. And you've got proof of authority. How does PAWChain ensure a high level of decentralization and security? How do you prevent centralization risks commonly associated with POA?
So the POA perspective isn't fully, I'd say, launched yet. With our upcoming beta and mainnet of our L2, that's where we'll have some more of the proof of authority, or really a hybrid consensus model for our L2 blockchain. I think, and let me send back a clarifying question to make sure I understand what you're saying. Are you ultimately asking like how do we ensure that we have good democracy and voting power as it relates to the DAO and the boost for the lock stakes?
Yeah, and I suppose that would also tie in with the treasury as well. You've got multi-sig on the treasury. I was wondering how that works. to secure finances for the investors as well.
Yeah. So let me take a minute to kind of like decouple those because that kind of spans, a few different areas, and I want to make sure that we're answering your questions, obviously, but also want to make sure that it doesn't add any confusion as it is multiple areas. So from a DAO perspective, the ability to be able to give a holder who is invested and locked in a stake additional voting power, for us, it really feels like it helps democratize the platform because, as an example, if holder A has X number of tokens but not staked, and holder B has the exact same number of tokens but is staked, we want that holder B, who has a vested interest long term because of a locked stake, to be able to have a higher voting power. So that for us is one way that we, I'll say, like, anti-whale it to a degree, because if you are, again, at a particular portfolio size and not staked, and somebody else's same portfolio size and is staked, they have a higher voting power to be able to go and propose and or vote on the particular proposals. So we've done one proposal so far. We are still a relatively new project and platform. Again, just turned 9 months old. That proposal, which will tie into your second question, was around how we would be able to reinvest into ourselves. And that is, there will be, just like every other, blockchain or aggregator or service or DEX, there will be a fee associated with the majority of our utilities. So the aggregator, the L2, the P2P wallet, the swap in and of itself, the DEX in and of itself, and that fee will get pulled back into a treasury wallet, and then it will be dispersed amongst that treasury wallet based on the agreed or approved DAO structure. So X% will go to marketing, X% will go to development, X% will go to buyback, liquidity pooling, and locking liquidity, which reduces supply, but then also enables us to be able to go use that liquidity to expand on more chains and um, more liquidity pools versus just a buyback burn, which is kind of a one-time thing, and then the supply is gone, but you don't have any um, reserves, if you will, liquidity reserves. So you had asked the question about feeding the treasury and the multi-sigs. So there are three multi-sigs associated with the project. There is a development multi-sig. That multi-sig is set up to be able to pay our development teams. We have about 70 developers spanning multiple teams on the project. That multi-sig is set up in a way that requires 6 of 8. I need to go back and look. I normally know that right off the top of my head, and I just drew a blank. 6 of 8. I'll go validate that. I can't remember right off the top of my head right now. But now I gotta go find it because that's gonna bother me. But anyway, it's set up to be able to pay the developers. And one thing that we do uniquely different here is we don't pay developers in advance of deployment or development. We pay them upon service rendered. That is a good motivational tool to keep our community aware of what's going on, but also see the development as it's happening. The second multi-sig is our marketing multi-sig. That is used for marketing, as it were. And marketing is a very broad term. Everybody has their own view of what like marketing is. So we can talk about that at length if we want. And then the final one is the main multi-sig, which is the treasury, and that is where the fees associated with the utilities gets back into, and then divvied up to those particular percentages based on the DAO approval. That is the multi-sig that will be turned over to the community upon PAW ecosystem being a self-sustained ecosystem. So we're generating enough fees in our utilities and our blockchain, layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, etc., to be able to be self-sustaining. And at that point, the DAO then fully takes over as the owner of the project, and then the community can make a decision on whether or not they want to bring and keep on the current developers tied to Paul LLC, or if they want to, go a different route, or if people want to start then putting proposals for, paid listings or anything of that nature, that treasury wallet will be what's associated to do that.
Got you, Fafo. That was great detail for everyone listening on the spaces. And I was wondering what stage we're at for the DEX exchange. Has it launched yet, or what's planned around? What's the selling point of PAWChain's DEX exchange, and how does it compare with existing decentralized exchanges?
Yeah, for sure. So the DEX in and of itself is not launched yet. So we talked a minute ago about the utilities and achievements we've had so far in this first 9 months. Throughout the remainder of the year, we are pushing a couple key things, and these are all going to be also audited by CERDIC. So that 5 contracts I mentioned earlier will continue to grow. In as such, our bug bounty will probably continue to grow because we really want to have a um, tangible, skin in the game, white hat level engagement with the security relevant people in the community. We want to make sure that and when I say community, I mean like the broader DeFi cryptocurrency community. So for the remainder of the year, we do have our aggregator V2, which I talked about a minute ago. We'll also be launching our layer 2 on full mainnet, audited on full mainnet, which will allow other dApps to be able to build on top of our layer 2 solution. That will be a multi-chain layer 2, so we will be deploying our token and coin across all major secure chains. And then also included in that is PAWSwap. So that will be the DEX that we were talking about just a second ago. So the DEX is separated out and differentiated in a few key ways. One of the ways that it is differentiated is it does have some very intuitive display capabilities, I'll say, at a starting point. So people being able to see token specifics or coin specifics right out the gate before they even invest, such as like aggregation of token sniffers across maybe like Go Plus and some of the like token sniffer and stuff like that. So folks can see if there's security vulnerabilities, they can see contract details first and foremost before they make a decision to buy, sell, swap. Some of those contract details would be like, is the contract renounced, not renounced? Is there taxation? Is this a honeypot? But then also being able to see some of the all-time high and all-time low chart specifics, all right there intuitively for people before they start to buy. And the reason I mentioned that as a differentiation is right now in a DeFi crypto Web3 perspective, it takes a decent amount of legwork for someone to go buy something. There's a lot of research, like DYOR is key in anything you do, right? But there's a lot of research and a lot of places you got to go to be able to make a decision. Do I want to swap? Do I want to buy? Do I want to sell? So our core values surround simplicity and security, those two things first and foremost. So being able to have simplistic operational capabilities for anyone, a novice investor or someone who's super advanced, is key for us. Uh, Lastly, on the swap, we will have an ability to set limit orders. We will have an ability to be able to even allow project founders who are like building on top of us to be able to set and lock liquidity, earmark their tokens, and like probably a lot more, right? Like, so I'll pause there, Glenn, to see if you have any feedback or other questions there.
No, yeah, you answered it very well. Thank you, Fafo. I was wondering on the layer 2 that we discussed there, the rollout timescale for that, and what types of decentralized applications are you aiming to attract to PAWChain, and how does the platform aim to support developers and project creators?
Yeah, the L2, and I say L2, but it's kind of confusing to say this verbally. I'll try my best. Written form is probably going to be better for this, and then we can like culminate on how to like really make people understand. But the layer 2 is more than a layer 2. It is a layer 2 on the ETH chain. It is a layer 1 in the sense that we're going to have cross-chain and multi-chain functionality, and that layer one is going to act as the arbiter, if you will, to ensure that all of the different um, chains that we're deployed on are all speaking in the same language. And then the layer three will be the ability to bridge between. So layer two is coming out this calendar year. Like we don't do soons, we do like facts. It is coming out this calendar year in beta, likely within the next month, and that gives us the month of December to do all the certic audits. You would ask for, what dApps, we intend to build on there and deploy. And it's a two-prong answer. So we will have our own dApps on our chain. PAWChain will be, our chain. Paw will be the gas for that. On that, we'll have dApps like the swap, the aggregator, the merchant, and merchant is a very vast thing with different utilities within it, like peer-to-peer or P2P wallet, the ability for e-commerce businesses to be able to onboard, to be able to basically put their services up and be able to accept cryptocurrencies in a very seamless and simplistic way. An NFT marketplace within the merchant. I mean, there'll be more and more and more within the merchant. Long term goal of the merchant is to be able to bridge the gap. I know bridge sometimes has a negative connotation, but bridge the gap between, Web three and even Web two slash in real world um, businesses. So one of the things that we're really excited about, kind of looking at the longer term roadmap, is the ability to have like bespoke point of sale merchant systems, payment cards, and even like hardware wallets as we think about our further expansive blueprint.
Great, Fafa. And what resources and support systems does PAWChain offer for new users unfamiliar with blockchain and crypto?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's again, we're still relatively new. 9 months is 9 months, right? That's not like baby brand new 2 weeks, but currently today, we have two key resources that are immensely helpful for people. I'll just say people, investors, non-investors who have questions. The first is our community on X. Our community on, and I still can't get behind saying X. I don't know why, but like our community on X and Twitter is phenomenal. There is not one person that I've come across in our community who isn't willing to try to help people understand DeFi, crypto, Web3. Not even just our project, just in general, right? Helping people understand how to go look things up, how to go set up wallets, how to go set up a hardware wallet tied to a MetaMask UI interface. I mean, everything. But with that, feed into our community. They're also willing and able to go help people understand what PAWChain is, how to go buy it, where to go buy it, how you can go interact with it, how you can stake, how you can use the aggregator, and then feeding into outside of X on our Reddit, on our Discord, and on our Telegram. Same kind of thing. We have dedicated people, mods, admins, etc., who are there to be able to help and ask questions. But as we kind of continue to branch out long term, we are currently developing a PAW Academy. So think about it as like a learning management system, if you will, that enables an ability to kind of like demystify some of the crypto space, but also offer monetary incentives for educational content creation. So as we think about longer term, we think about, we talked about simplicity and security, but we also think about education. And candidly, like I'm really impressed with Moby Media, and this is not just a, like let me big you up for a second, but like you have a tie into education as well. Like you have a whole specific aim on breaking barriers with your university partners. So that's something I read recently, and I was like, oh man, that's a really kind of unique way to think about it too. Not just be within the same like um, eco bubbles, right, that everybody else is in hashtag crypto Twitter, but breaking those barriers into university systems is really cool as well.
Awesome, Fafo. Yeah, we've been building them links with blockchain university clubs. Unfortunately, I don't think there's that many degree courses around crypto yet, but
No.
maybe a few in Europe I was reading about, but that'll expand in the future as we go mainstream. But I was wondering, you've been around 9 months, like you say, that's a couple of years in the real world. So have you been building up any partnerships or collaborations that PAWChain is secured or is pursuing, and how do these partnerships contribute to the project's growth?
Yeah. Our team and our community is large, right? We've been around. We, like, as a collective, been around for a long time. PAWChain, PAWSwap, has been around for 9 months. Within our core team alone, we have people that have been a part of like multi-billion-dollar decentralized crypto projects. Our CTO Paul Kishi has been. I know he's our lead dev as well. He's personally driven, multi-billion-dollar crypto projects as well. But I think one of the things that also helps set us apart is like we bring our real-world experience into this as well. So we have people on the actual team who've been working for and delivering across, top Fortune companies like Uber and Microsoft and Amazon, AWS, and many, many more. And they bring that ability to be able to, plan and scale and roadmap and deliver from real world experience into Paul and PAWChain itself.
I think you cut out there, Fafo. I can't hear you. Can
Oh,
anyone else hear?
oh, wait.
Oh, I can hear you now. Yeah,
Oh,
sorry.
weird.
Yeah,
I don't know what happened. I was ending the sentence, so I don't know if I just did an awkward silence end or what.
no problem. Yeah, yeah. I think you were just finishing at like 10 seconds or 5 seconds.
Okay. Do you need me to repeat anything? Sorry, Glenn.
Uh, no, 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 no. Let's move on. I was wondering, yeah, we touched on the community there. How does PAWChain plan to engage and grow its community? Are there any incentives or programs in place for early adopters and contributors? I think we've touched on the staking, but is there any other benefits for investors?
Yeah, there's a couple. It's interesting that you asked that because this was asked on another call recently with CoinEx Espanol. Like we had a really great in Spanish AMA. So I'm not a Spanish speaker, but one of our Genesis team members, Annie, who I think, yep, Annie's on in the audience as well. She did live translation. It was freaking amazing. But that was actually it was an interesting question that came about. Um, like I'll say early adopter incentives. So obviously, as you noted, Glenn, the staking obviously is a benefit for people. We also offer incentive in we incentivize liquidity providers. I couldn't figure out how to say that word properly. We incentivize liquidity providers, within our staking platform, and that will continue to kind of shift and shape as we move to our layer two, layer one, layer three. And then, as we get into that layer two beta and mainnet, we will have the incentivization. I can't say that word. We will incentivize validators and delegators as well. There is a third kind of like net new staking option that we're working through for EL2, and that's going to be called lockers. So similar to normal staking, but the uniqueness of this is it's almost like a crowdfunding ability for those who want to be able to support multiple validators or crowdfund for a validator who may not have enough PAW specifically to meet the validation requirements, which we're finalizing right now, but would be a really good validator. So it's kind of a de-risked um, version of delegating where you can kind of spread your risk, and everything is a risk. So I don't want anybody to take that as a potential negative statement, but to spread your risk across multiple validators, and it's going to be a really unique thing.
Great, Fafo. And we touched on the treasury, but I was wondering how it works, how it's funded. Is there a tax on the staking in and out? And can we go into the lock staking? What's the APR, APY like for investors?
Yeah, for sure. So just to note, there is no tax anywhere across our platform. We are a single asset ecosystem, so there's only one token address. There will only ever be one asset, but there's no tax, period. But then to answer your question about staking, I'll run through the staking options in the APRs, and then I'll get into your kind of like tax in, tax out question about staking. So there's six options for staking. The first one is a 3% APR for flexible stake. Anytime in, anytime out, no worries, right? Like I can go stake right now and 10 minutes later unstake. I've collected some rewards based on that time, but like no penalty. There is a locked stake, it's 13 weeks. That is an 8% APR. Currently, right now, there's also a 12% boost that is for that locked stake for those who are locked for the 13-week duration and leave their stake in until PAWChain mainnet happens at the end of this year. That does have a penalty of 10% only if you unstake prior to your 13-week time limit. Now, our staking side is super intuitive. If I'm looking at it right now, if I hit the minus button because I want to take some out, it gives me a warning and it says, hey, like this stake line, hasn't met its requirement yet. You will suffer. It doesn't say suffer. You will have a 10% penalty if you unstake this prior to 13. But after the 13, you can totally take it out. But to qualify for that 12% APR boost, folks leave it in until mainnet. And then the three of the next ones I'm going to talk about are LP staking. They're all 6% APR respectively. And that is to provide LP on Shiba Swap, on Uniswap v2, and Uniswap v3. There is no taxation, if you will, on stake unstake, no locked period for that either. And before I get to the sixth one, I will note, because the sixth one, you'll understand why I say this in a second, all of the staking options that we have today, people accrue WPAW or wrapped paw. That wrapped paw is what you earn on any of those. And then the sixth staking option, the reason I notated that is you can collect your WPAW and restake it to earn 6% APR of the WPAW you've already earned to earn more WPAW. So think about like compounding interest to a degree. Also, no locked requirement for that, no tax in and out.
Okay, got it, Fafo. So I could offer LP on Uniswap v3, which is great, and then the rewards I got from that, I could put back into the staking. Is that an idea you'd recommend?
Well, kind of two rewards actually. When you do LP, when you provide LP, you can also gain independently on the platform you're doing it on. But in this scenario here, you do earn WPAW as a LP reward. You can just leave it to continue to accrue, or you can, and if you go on our website, you can see what I mean when I say collect or restake. There's two buttons. You can collect it, it can sit in your wallet, or you can hit the restake button, which auto collects it and sends it over to the WPAW flexible stake option.
Great, Fafo. Sounds great. And so for the future roadmap, what's the upcoming milestones and upgrades planned for PAWChain, and how do these enhancements align with the project's long-term vision?
Yeah. So I think we've talked about. Are you talking about short-term milestones, or? And I say short-term, I mean 3 to 6 months. Do you mean short-term or long-term or both?
Yeah, both. Yeah, and sort of the timeline for each thing that's coming for PAWChain in the future.
Yeah, for sure. So from a short-term perspective, again, we'll talk, kind of 3 to 6 months in that time frame. We have a really massive rebrand that's underway right now. That rebrand is going to do kind of two different things. It's going to be almost like a metamorphosis, a rebirth, if you will, that'll make us memes aren't bad. Like I don't want anybody to like hear that and like think that we like hate meme coins because we kind of are one right now. but it moves us out of the meme category and makes us like as visually attractive as we are disruptively innovative, from a technology standpoint. So this rebrand, Paw will remain, the hashtag PAW ticker will be the same, PAWChain will remain the same, but it'll be a holistic rebrand from a from a logo perspective. The website, PawEcosystem.com, is getting a full overhaul as well, and all the UI and UX for the utilities as well, because we really want it to look and feel as amazing as it is from a technology standpoint. So that's happening in the next, again, short term, 3 to 6 months. It's not going to be 3 months or 6 months, just FYI. It'll be much quicker than people anticipate. We have the multi-chain layer 1, layer 2, layer 3 framework we've talked about today. The PAW Academy as a part of the ongoing education. This is all in the short term, so 3 to 6 months. Fiat on and off ramp. That is another thing that's going to be tied into merchant that we talked about earlier. That's going to be able to make transactions into and out of the crypto world smoother than ever. There is a lot of regulatory framework and compliance tied between payment processing. So in the short term, we will likely be continuing to onboard into existing on and off ramp providers and be able to leverage their regulatory compliance while we work toward that compliance and licensing and things like that to provide it, in and of ourselves natively. And then like rolling into like the latter part of next year. So now we're kind of pushing into that like medium to long term perspective. The bespoke payment systems, the payment cards, hardware wallets, software like cold wallets and hot wallets as well. And then we do have we're planning by the end of 2024, but I mean, there's a lot of things going on. A paw club. So this is an immersive kind of like augmented reality, metaverse-like environment that is like really going to be aimed at trying to bring real world Web3 and Web4 together from a social aspect, from an e-commerce perspective, from an augmented reality perspective, and really kind of be immersive and not just like a clunky metaverse feel and like I don't know that many have done metaverse well, and this is just me personally. um, I hope we do. I have faith that we will, but that is also on the longer term roadmap.
Awesome. Well, there's lots planned for the future, and that's great. So let's open it up to the Spaces audience and see what they want to ask about
Yeah, for sure.
PAWChain.
Hey,
Let's
just
see, we've got.
just real quick too, is it open for anybody to raise their hand? I'm just asking for our community and others who are here.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
it
sweet.
will be. Yeah, if does anyone want to bring up, I've got Aisha. You had a question for.
Yeah,
Go
for
ahead.
sure.
Yeah, Glenn, I have a few questions. Thank you. Okay, your white paper highlights one of the essential features of PAW Merchant or PAW Wallet, which is the conversion of cryptocurrencies into the fiat currencies. Could you please elaborate on how PAW Merchant will enable online transactions between buyers and sellers? And could you provide details on the specific methods and algorithms employed for the instantaneous conversion of cryptocurrencies into fiat currencies?
Yeah, Aisha. Nice to meet you. We talked a little bit about that just a second ago, and obviously 100% always happy to kind of dig in a little bit more. As you look at fiat on and off ramp, I think the biggest gating factor is regulatory compliance, right? So this is like things out of NIST, so like PCI, which is payment card infrastructure compliance. So in the initial pieces of this, we will onboard to existing licensed and regulatory compliant service offerings. Like I think like Payment Now is like a good example. That's or Now Payment, excuse me, as a part of that fiat on and off ramp. As we continue to go work against our own offering and getting the licensing and regulatory compliance checks that we need to do. going back to our core values, simplicity and security are key. So getting that regulatory compliance framework done, getting it all audited, and ensuring that it is safe for people to use will continue to be part of our mantra. You had asked the second part of the question that I didn't fully catch. Do you mind throwing that second part again real quick?
You answered my question.
Oh, beautiful. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, moving to my next question. Cryptocurrency markets can be highly volatile. How does Paw Merchant manage the risk associated with price fluctuations between the time of a purchase and the actual conversion of digital assets into fiat currencies, especially for merchants?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I don't know that I can actually answer that. I mean, you're right. It is absolutely volatile. Like, I mean, just to plug ourselves for a second, in the last 6 hours, like we've popped up 18.77%, which is super sweet. I don't know that I can give you a solid answer for that, but I love the question, and I know we have team members on the call here, so happy to take that one back. I don't want to give you a fluff answer that may not be right. That's just not how our team operates. So um, I'll have to take that one back and try to get a better answer for you.
All right, no problem. Okay, are there any plans to create your own POS system, including both hardware and software, to empower brick and mortar or physical store merchants to accept cryptocurrency payments in conjunction with your payment gateways?
Yes. Yes is the answer, right? So, I mean, absolutely unequivocally yes. So, again, kind of like planning this out properly to ensure simplicity and security. First and foremost, we will integrate into existing hardware, existing payment processing hardware, to be able to, leverage those existing approved, licensed, and regulatory compliant devices. But there is plans to build our own bespoke hardware from a hardware wallet perspective, from a card, like a PAW card perspective, and also POS systems as a whole.
Awesome. Understood. Okay, as mentioned in the white paper, throughout its early life, PAWChain will go through a series of upgrades. However, its first version will be a custom layer 2. I'm interested in learning about the unique innovations and solutions that PAWChain aims to introduce, to the Web3 ecosystem that might set it apart from existing L2 solutions such as Arbitrum.
Yeah, that's, I mean, great question. So it will be a hybrid consensus model, meaning we will have POA as the primary, but having that ability to be able to have our POA validators who are also KYC be able to do batch approvals will add a scalability factor that isn't available today in most layer twos. I'll also note that all of our utilities, every single one of them, is custom coded, like specifically custom coded. Like we're not taking forks from other layer twos. We're not doing any type of um, I'll just say like UI magic. All of this is like very, very written from a custom code perspective. So our ability to be able to, kind of take this hybrid consensus mechanism, especially in times of like very high congestion, where like a queue starts to like really ramp up from a transactions perspective, um, gives us that ability to be able to scale for batch approvals, as we talked about before, because that validator, that authority validator who's undergone KYC, is also granted a zero knowledge proof certification. And that's what enables them to be able to batch sign all the transactions at once. And that gives us a little bit of a superiority from a scaling perspective than standard proof of stake networks.
Got it. Okay, last thing for me. Uh, Proof of authority is often linked to private or permissioned blockchains. Could you please provide clarity on whether PAWChain is a permissioned blockchain? And if so, will developers be required to undergo screening and a KYC process, as you mentioned, similar to validators, in order to deploy smart contracts on PAWChain?
Yeah, I do want to clarify something real quick. Our proof of stake is primary. POA will be used in times of congestion. We do intend for this to be permissionless um, from a build on top of perspective. So the KYC piece I mentioned a minute ago was specifically for authority validators, but the ability for um, other dApps to be able to build upon our L2 will be a permissionless uh, perspective, permissionless process. Excuse me.
Understood. Thank you. Thanks so much for answering all my questions. Nice talking to
Of
you. Thank you.
of course, yeah, and please feel free to engage with anyone else in our community as well. We have lots of amazing people here.
Yeah, sure. I will. Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Aisha. I think we did have one of the community up, but it dropped out crypto for you. That said on his profile he was a PAWChain lover. So, but he's dropped down. So let's see. We've got Ramat. You had a question for Mafo. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Glenn. Okay, I have read in your white paper that you are sticking to the NIST guidelines. So, can you provide more detail on what NIST is and how does you adhering to these guidelines will enhance the ecosystem and its security, including data protection?
Yeah, for sure. So NIST, for everyone who doesn't know, is a set of standards. It's National Institute of Standards and Technology. This is just one of the ways that we're implementing security, right? So if you read through the white paper, I'm not saying you didn't. Sorry, this is just kind of for everybody. Um, we have a variety of ways that security is implemented, not just once, but also continuously. So obviously auditing from CERTIC, that's a one-time thing and an ongoing thing in perpetuity. Our bug bounty is an ongoing thing in perpetuity that entices or incentivizes folks to find bugs and be paid for those bugs. It's a white hat type uh, piece. Continuous monitoring is something that CERTIC does, but we also do from our development team. And then NIST, to touch on your question there, so NIST is pretty broad as a whole, right? There are NIST controls for everything from PCI, which is payment card infrastructure, continuous monitoring, risk management framework. So NIST 800-53 is one of the biggest ones that's used across cloud service providers and software as a service entities and many others. So we're taking all of these approaches not only to ensure that we do security right from day one, but that we implement best practices, find uh, vulnerabilities always sounds negative, but find vulnerabilities and fix them. But also enable like people like Certic to be able to go through and comb through our GitHubs and find issues that should be remediated. So as an example, to kind of touch on the security a little bit more, if you go and look through our audit report from Certic on their website, you will see that there's a lot of finds and fixes. Find, they find, we fix. And I touch on that because it's important to my previous point about custom written code. If we had done, just kind of copy pasta or done kind of UI magic, for some of the utilities and contracts that we have, you probably wouldn't find the issues. But the fact that they do is a good thing because that continues to impress on people that, we are individually custom writing the code, the algorithms, all of the container sets for Kubernetes. Like we collectively are doing it all, and we get findings and we fix them. So I hope I answered your question about NIST. If I didn't, please kind of iterate a little bit more.
No, you have answered that. Okay, it's also stated in your white paper that PAWChain will have around 10 validators that will be required to undergo an independent third-party KYC. So, can you explain the criteria for selecting these validators and how will you maintain decentralization when selecting 10 validators? And they also need to go through KYC process.
Yeah, the POA validators, the KYC will be through a third party entity. We haven't selected who that third party entity is, just as full transparency. Right now, we are still iterating on and finalizing the validator requirements. As an example, when not mainnet, excuse me, beta for our L2 launches in the coming weeks, that's going to enable us to allow anyone to validate in a beta format, which will help us inform on hardware, software, bandwidth, and other requirements to finalize the validator. Um, I, I, I don't like to say requirements twice because I just said that, but it helps us finalize validator requirements. Um, Decentralized choosing of the 10 POA validators, I don't have that answer, brother. We can take that back. We can provide back to Moby and Moby back out to you all that answer, but I don't have it right off the top of my head.
Yeah, sure, no worries. Thank you so much for your time. Over to you, Glenn.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thanks for the questions, Ramat. Next, we've got Captain Levi. You had a question for Fafo at PAWChain. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Glenn. I guess you guys can hear me all right. I want to give a big shout out to your community for, helping people understand stuff about the blockchain and its associated technologies. Um, Many congrats on your double A results from CETIC, 92%, I believe. And congrats on, building your code from scratch, so to speak. So proof of custom code. I just have a couple of questions regarding the business aspect and connecting the APIs to businesses. Your white paper says that businesses may quickly adapt this new payment method and increase payment options for its customers. I am guessing that these businesses also have to be tech savvy. Would you be providing any assistance to these businesses in the event where they want to integrate PAWChain or PAW's ecosystem into their businesses? Maybe talking about merchandise being paid with crypto.
Yeah, great question. So first, let me just say thank you for the kind words, for the accolades. Again, really thank you for shouting out the community. I can't say that enough. Our community really is deeply invested in helping people understand the broader picture of DeFi, Web3, crypto. Right. So thank you for shouting them out. I will continue to shout them out all the time. So, when it comes to enabling, businesses for accepting cryptocurrencies, we have a couple of different approaches. Providing APIs, Go SDKs, the ability to be able to give them a simplistic merchant view, to be able to log into, to be able to um, accept cryptocurrencies is key. One of the biggest, I say, like stumbling blocks or blockers, if you will, for especially e-commerce businesses to be able to accept crypto, is interfaces to be able to provide on their website for people to be able to send and receive. But then, secondly, there's a mystification around fiat to crypto conversion that has to happen for most e-commerce platforms, because most e-commerce people still deal in fiat primarily. So, working through tech savvy and non-tech savvy merchants will be key and core for us, because as we enable simplistic ways for an e-commerce platform to accept crypto, not just PAW, but just crypto as a whole, it enables that broader global adoption that everyone wants, like everyone within this space wants. So long answer, but I'll sum it up. We will provide, specific APIs or even SDKs for merchants to be able to, implement and onboard to. But we'll also always work toward ways to make it more simplistic for, one click, if you will, one click adoption, one click conversion. Uh, yeah.
Okay, so that's really impressive. So, aside that assistance, will in the event where the PAWChain the businesses need some, will I say, technical assistance, are they staff on standby to provide this to render this assistance?
Yeah, we totally will. We don't have that today, just candidly. I mean, our support system today is our community, our Telegram admins, our Discord mods, and helpers, and our Reddit admins. So, but as you look to do in real world stuff, having that technical support will be key. We have noted previous in the white paper that technical support, will be available in multiple languages. We hold true to that. So that will be a scalable piece, as we move more into, mainnet and beyond.
That's really impressive. It's really cool that you guys are actually considering those who aren't really tech savvy, but would really like to try out this crypto thing. And I think PAWChain will actually, give them a very good first impression, depending on what I'm seeing here on the white paper. My final question is coming from your problem statement. I am seeing here you intend to provide a comprehensive tool set. While people provide that comprehensive tool set, they actually make the mistake of making that tool set so complex. I mean, by complexity, I'm talking about like the cockpit of maybe an A380. So many tools, so many variants, and so many things you can do with so many things. Uh, how is PAWChain's tool set different from the complexity? I already understand that you're making everything simple for even those that aren't tech savvy to understand in the regards of business. How about your tool sets? Are they also easy to understand tool sets? How did you guys go about this?
Yeah, let me repeat the question because I want to make sure I answer that correctly. So you're pulling this from the problem statement in the white paper. We note in there that there is an absence of user-friendly and comprehensive tool sets within the DeFi thing. So I think your question is, what what ways is PawChain looking to deploy simplistic but user-friendly but also informative tool sets, correct?
Precisely. You get it right. Yeah.
Awesome, cool. Thanks, Captain. So for us, you even noted this, like simplicity is very key. As an example, on our soon to be launched Paw Hub, there'll be a one-stop view that will enable a user, and a user can be an investor, or a user can be somebody who's just investigating, right? To be able to see multiple utilities that we offer in one view. But this will be a simplistically laid out, easy to read, easy to navigate, and informative view. So as an example, if the staking part is on that view, which it is, a user will be able to connect wallet one time and be connected to multiple utilities: staking, aggregator, swap, bridge, etc. But there's also, useful, information buttons that like help people understand like what is this and why is this important. Conversely, our website, which is being fully overhauled right now, and it'll be launching in the coming weeks, is going to have an immersive amount of documentation and wiki-like GitLab type look and feel to be able to educate people on the most rudimentary parts of Web3 crypto DeFi and advanced stuff like what is impairment loss and like how do I not suffer from that when I'm providing LP. So our tool sets, if you will be a combination of educational materials, but then also a simplistic look feel on the front end, but wildly intuitive technology on the back end.
I guess I'm actually correct to, team you guys informed simplicity. Really simple to go about making the public understand. I really want to give you guys a shout out in that regard. Thanks a lot for answering my questions and wish you guys the very best. And I really hope that PAWChain and its technology stay bullish moonward. Thanks a lot, Glenn. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Captain.
Thanks for the questions, Captain. Next, we've got Venice. You had a question for Papa. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, Glenn. Okay, in the case of a Paul liquidities checking program, what criteria or factors will determine whether it continues for the full 52 weeks or ends earlier with the launch of PAWChain's mainnet, and how does it impact the staking program and reward structure?
Yeah. Let me repeat just to make sure, because I feel like I missed the very beginning of that. So let me repeat to make sure that we're talking the same thing. You said for the staking program, um, effectively you're asking, does it end when PawChain mainnet happens, correct?
Yeah, but I was also saying that what factors will determine whether it continues for the full 52 weeks or ends earlier with the launch of PAWChain's mainnet?
I understand. I understand. So the current locked stake uh, does have a planned moratorium, if you will, at PawChain mainnet. But, and there's a but here because it's a good but, at mainnet, we will offer additional staking capabilities, both from a validator perspective, a delegator perspective, and a locker perspective. So I touched on locker a little bit earlier. I'll kind of like reiterate that again. That locker perspective is similar to the staking that people see and understand today on stake.pawecosystem.com, but it enables a holder to be able to stake and invest across multiple validators. So, as an example, if I am, if I have um, a portfolio, but I'm not sure, like, as a delegator, A, what does that mean? Like, B, like, how do I know I trust validator A, validator B, validator C? The locker stake will enable me to say, de-risk my investment, allow me to still gain rewards, but spread, my investment and, Venice's investment and Captain's investment and Dez's investment across multiple validators. So then you get, the staking rewards from those validators, but you have that split across multiple. There is a likelihood that staking will continue in other forms as well, but our plan as of today is when we move into mainnet, the staking and reward structure will be around those three key areas: validator, delegator, and locker. And please let me know if that didn't answer your question, Venice.
Yeah, it answers my question, and thank you so much for answering it.
Sweet, yeah, happy to do so.
Thanks for the question, Venice. Well, we've discussed a lot today with Fafo from PAWChain and learned a lot more today, so that's been great. If you've got any questions after the spaces, unfortunately we run out of time, you can check out their website, read the white paper, or if you've got any questions, go over to the socials, and I'm sure the community and team will answer any questions after the spaces. And it's been great speaking to you today, Fafo. Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Just shout out to Moby Media. Really love what y'all are doing, and look forward to having more of these.
Awesome. As we say, well, going towards for education and research, it's not financial advice. But like I say, if you've got any questions or you want to learn more, you can read the white paper, check the website, or go to the socials. And take care, everyone.
All right. Thank you, everybody.